alone in the city. I need someone to hold my hand now. Talk to me and to make me understand. Should I leave or should I stay? People, should I pack and go away? I'm alone in the city, in the city. Alone in the city. Woke up to a cold and rainy day. Yes, I did. I went to work. I got it done and went my way. I saw a girl and she was cute, but then she smiled and walked away. I'm alone in the city. Looks like the sun is going down now. It's getting dark outside, and no one else around. No, it ain't, no one to call, no one to write. My bills I do, my money's tight, and I'm alone in the city. My bills I do, my money's tight. People, I have no one to spend the night. I'm alone in the city. Whoa, 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 whoa. You know I'm alone. Yes, I'm alone in the city. Yes, I am.
Yeah. That was awesome, dude.
Thank you.
So when did you write that song?
I'm going to disclose private information and tell you that this was actually the first blues that I felt was good enough or real enough that I can share with people.
Sounds real to me.
Before I wrote some things, and I wouldn't sell them, so I never released them. Then I came to Chicago, and shortly after that, my parents passed away along the way, and I was by myself, and the song pretty much wrote itself one day, and I recorded it on my first album.
Awesome. Are you touring right now?
I am. I'm here in Los Angeles to play 3 shows.
Yeah. And what age did you start playing?
Music, I started singing probably before I played an instrument.
Gotcha.
Just singing along with different things that I liked, Michael Jackson, David Bowie, Marvin Gaye, things like pop tunes. And I was actually born in Israel, so even pop music there. And then I would play the clarinet. The horn was my first instrument. And then when I was about 13, we had an acoustic guitar at home, and I picked it up and started strumming to accompany myself, to try to be in a band, The clarinet was the big band thing, I played in an orchestra, and it was beautiful. It helped me a lot later, but then you know how it is.
Oh, the glory is in that instrument, definitely, compared to the clarinet.
It helped me later when I arranged for horns.
Yeah.
It was like,
no, your musicality, I'm sure, comes from that. I know some great guitar players. Dean Parks is a really good woodwind player. A few other guys, too. Really, really good. And would you say, well, let me ask you this. When did you come to America? How old were you?
I first came, I dreamed about coming, It's not a secret. You can hear that I learned a lot. I learned by ear mostly, and B.B. King and Albert King were big, big influences in my early teen years.
Yeah.
I started playing guitar kind of because of Eric Clapton and then Stevie Ray Vaughan and the rock blues scene, but very shortly after this episode, I got turned on to Albert King, B.B. King, and T-Bone Walker, and that changed everything.
Yeah. You found yourself with those guys.
It helped me. I always, I think that to me, and Robert Johnson, for playing acoustic, and Lightning Hopkins, and Ray, and again, now I'm getting, and Wes Montgomery, and Oscar Peterson, and
the tree is starting to grow.
But it grows backwards.
Right.
And I'm saying there are so many, so many
the roots
wonderful.
Then.
That's the thing. There are great players today. There were great players in 1980 and in 1970, but those are already musicians to me that heard the source and took it to their own places.
Yeah.
And when I heard people like Clapton and Stevie Ray Vaughan, I said, wow, that's great. I want to play like that. And then I heard the other one. I said, no, this is what I want to play. And then
the source, the original.
And then I could sense that a little bit afterwards, I could actually take it to my own place and create, and it helps me express myself and find my own voice, other than just playing like somebody that was already great. But they based their sound on the old timers too,
I hear that. You don't sound like anybody in particular. You sound like yourself, but you have all these influences. You really do.
I appreciate it.
And that's good, because if you do sound too much like a particular icon, that can actually be a hindrance. I don't hear that at all. Really.
It wasn't. There was a time that I did. I have to confess.
Well, yeah, we all did, I suppose.
Yeah. It was. But it got to the point where.
Yeah.
You asked me a question, I went with it. But I came first when I was 16.
Gotcha.
On tour for a 3-4 month extensive tour, mostly as a vocalist, not as a guitarist. If there were shows, I only play acoustic to accompany the big vocal group.
Okay.
And I went back and I finished high school in Israel, and I did 3 years in the army in Israel. And right after my army service, I took a guitar, like 12 days after, took the little money that I had in a suitcase and flew to Memphis, Tennessee, to go in the footsteps of people like Albert King on sax and B.B. King. And it started there. I went from Memphis to New Orleans. From New Orleans, I came to Chicago. I was hired by the great Willie Kent, the late great Willie Kent.
You guys were a really great match. I checked out some of that stuff.
Thank you. And this was he got me, I think I was still 21 years old when he heard me just out of the army, and the band were in their 60s, and I was 21, and I was humble, and I didn't even open my mouth for the first 6 months.
Some of those videos are on YouTube. You should check them out. They're really, I've seen them, marvelous.
Thank you.
Really good.
And then,
I stayed with him. It was different times, it seems. It wasn't that long ago, but I played with him solely. He made me his band leader. I was a lead guitar player for him. Then he made me his band leader. And we played a lot. We toured. We played in Chicago. We went to Japan, to Europe. And then he died in 2006. And he was grooming me. I would open up every show. And he actually was kind enough to step back and just play bass for me to sing and lead the band, which not too many people, would do.
Would share it like that. And think about that from a business point of view, from a life point of view. You learned how to have your own band, probably. You learned how to do it.
When I picked up the guitar at 14, I was leading a band. At 13, at 14, I had a band.
Yeah.
So, but it was great for me. And people asked me then, said, "Man, you play great, you sing great. You should have your own band. Why are you with Willie Kent?" I'm like, it's time to do this, And yeah, you lose some time, I know, but I gained a lot, and it's a lot of experience and a lot of wisdom of figuring out what to do and also what not to do.
Well, that's the thing. If you're on the road with somebody who's getting paid to do gigs, you're learning things that you would never learn with your own bands and back in your hometown. So it was probably great for that.
And
the other thing about
you can back somebody up, and he's up front, and I'm a little bit in the back. And I liked it, being a little, and kind of hearing the whole concept.
Yeah.
And seeing what supports him better, trying to do the best job I can. And you are really loose. It's a different story when you're up front, and then you need to pay attention to everything. As a sideman or musician, you have your part, but I could kind of listen and see what drives him. And I took that time to try to perfect my style. I started by playing with my thumb and my fingers.
Did you ever play with a pick?
With him at the beginning, I was with the pick.
Okay, yeah.
And then with him one night, the ones who know me, I used to play Telecaster exclusively.
Yeah, seen that. It seemed like you were doing some stuff with your index finger, too.
I do a lot.
That.
Because Albert Collins and Gatemouth Brown were influences of mine, too. And the finger picking, you have to play all fingers, too, Yeah. But I put the pick aside every night. I started chewing on it more than playing with it, and I'm like, I'm going to die one day just choking on a pick in a gig. So I decided to put it aside, and I remember I bought a Fender Quad Reverb, which I have too. I performed with them on my Telecaster, and I played. One night I left the pick at home. Tim, I said, I'm not bringing it, and I was scared because you know how it is,
Oh yeah.
And I stumbled a little bit on the gig, and I could not reach certain speeds at the beginning.
Okay. Yeah.
But everything was organic. And Willie came to me at the end of the night and said, "Boy, what you do tonight?" I said, 2 things. I said, I got that amp that I really love, and I left the pick at home. I played with my finger, with my thumb. He said, don't change anything. You play like yourself tonight, and you have nothing to worry about.
Well, it is a fatter tone with your fingers. You can really hear that.
I like the way the guitar sits, too, where you can kind of, there's nothing here to, I can grab it, and kind of like move it the way I feel comfortable with it.
Yeah. And the thing is, what you're doing, age-wise, it doesn't really matter. The career that you have, you might be better off being older. I mean, so the fact that you spent a few years with somebody that good, backing up somebody like that, it's a plus, really.
Yeah.
Plus, you look a lot younger than you are.
It's I don't know. I tell you, I like to sing a lot of different things. Some are more poppy and more rhythm and blues based than actually blues. And even pop, I like a lot of things. The career I hope will lead me to play it all, and hopefully to expand the fan base to even the younger market. But it was I didn't feel the rush to I need to do it now or I'm going to miss my opportunity. Now thinking back, maybe I should have, but
I don't think the world works that way anymore. These days, you find your own audience, you find it by yourself, and it's yours. So I think you're right
But I
on
definitely
time.
learned a lot. I would be a liar to say, and not your conventional stuff. Oh, how did you? I probably did not learn too many things about the way of playing, this lick is cool.
Yeah.
But from playing with a singer, and I love singing too, but seeing Willie belt like only very few singers could.
Yeah.
And you have to respond to this with your guitar.
Yeah.
You get a different sense of intensity, what feels real and kind of natural.
Did you start out on a 335, or did you start out on a Fender? Has it been an evolution, or?
It's been an evolution.
Yeah, okay.
I grew up in a small village. I never thought I could own a Gibson.
Right.
I will have money to buy a Gibson guitar.
Right. Yeah.
And I played a Telecaster. I remember the first time I came here to L.A. and I met Norm, and I've been playing Telecasters. I came to the States with a Strat, and very shortly after I played a Telecaster, and I said, this is way more what I hear. I started playing it. I came here to LA, and I told Norm this. I said, it was after a show I played for Buddy Guy. The 5th Star Awards. Buddy asked if I would. I heard that they asked me to play because he was digging me in the band, in my band, and I played, and at the end of the night, Tim, I said, I don't want to play a Telecaster anymore. It sounded thin. I do not play with pedals, so it's only amp or two at bigger stages.
Yeah.
And it wasn't what I heard anymore. And it was coming to then I told my wife, I said, I'm done. She's like, what? You can't. It's like...
It happened all at once then. Just
yes.
You turned the corner.
I think it came, but I didn't speak on it.
Yeah.
I'm like, something didn't feel like, it wasn't sounding anymore like the way I imagined in my head.
Yeah.
And then I said, that's it. And I came to LA, and no one would remember, I started looking at Les Pauls because I thought, wow, it can be as nasty as a Telecaster, but it's warmer, it's bigger sounding. And I looked at different guitars, and Norm asked me to do a couple of videos, and they were all on Les Pauls until even Norm asked me, so how come you don't, why not the 335? And in my mind, I was all thinking like, 335 is great, but it will never be able to kick as hard. Like, I cannot go to an Albert King or an Albert Collins mode on a 335. And then I met Joe Bonamassa, and he said, they are Les Paul killers. I'm like, what you mean? And he said, you will be able to do a lot more with it. And Norm said it, and a few guys they expected in Chicago said, and I'm like, you should play 335. I'm like, I don't want to just play jazz or smooth stuff. I want to get in sometimes, you know.
Yeah, the 335 is becoming my favorite guitar, I think, too. I mean, I was weaned on Larry Carlton, and for me, there's something, I mean, in your particular case, if you turn an amp up, that guitar is going to actually kind of resonate. There's a circle that happens with an amp that's kind of loud, and you can even just tap the strings, and it'll create music. So it's probably the most responsive guitar you could play live.
I didn't know it. I swear, I was wrong. I was wrong, and then I sat here, and when I played one, I'm like, wait a minute. And I went to Memphis and sat at Gibson, I played another one, I'm like, wait a minute, this guitar could do a lot that I didn't think, and then it came along, and I love it, and I don't want to look back. You know?
I had to wait. I bought a Joe Bonamassa reissue from Norm, and I loved it, and then Norm found me a 1962 that had been devalued by some changes, and I could afford it, and I bought it last December, so that's my new one.
Really?
It's awesome. Yeah, wow. It's really awesome.
Wow.
So I'm a convert, too, definitely.
I love them. I love it. This is actually an early 80s guitar.
Really?
It's not an old one. And some people are like, wow, so well, you could afford a 50, so you're playing this and it sounds great. I'm like, no, it's not a 59. It's an early 80s. Like yesterday I did another video with my wife here on an 82 Les Paul, and I have to tell you something. A great guitar is a great guitar.
I agree.
The year does not matter.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, old dry wood is amazing.
Yes.
But I've been in situations where, well, I was in a situation where I took my reissue Les Paul, compared it in the studio with John Shanks' 59, back and forth, and we're going, well, they're both great. I hear a little difference, but they're both great. So if you get a good reissue, I mean, the thing is, I believe all these companies and all these small artisans, pickup makers, everybody, they've all brought the vintage aesthetic all the way up at this point. Not so 10 years ago, not so 20 years ago, but at this point, everybody's trying so hard to sound like, you know, the vintage instruments that they love. You can find really good stuff.
I think so.
Really
Look, there's some great guitars I played here at Norm's, and it was like, oh my goodness, it's a great guitar. But I won't tell you that every old guitar is necessarily a great guitar.
True too.
Just like not every new guitar is all that, you know. Yeah. And I played some early 80s that were not good. And early 90s they were good. And it's just, you know, if they pay attention, they pick the right wood, and the person loves what he does, I think it's going to be a good instrument.
More likely to be a great guitar. But guitars, they're all made one at a time, really. Even if they're made with a machine that's cutting the wood, wood just turns out the way it turns out, and they're all different. They're all different.
I think so, too.
It's amazing.
I think so, too.
So do you have another record planned?
Yes. I'm actually here also, as opposed to, I planned those series of shows here in L.A. this time to come and write. I'm meeting with David Ritz, the writer. Right. We wrote for my previous album, and we are close friends. He was in Chicago writing the Buddy Guy autobiography, and he came to see a show of mine with Buddy. And I was saying Georgia, and he came to me after this, Georgia on my mind, and he came and said, I'm David Ritz. And I'm like, wait a minute. what? Because I just finished reading the Brother Ray book, and he said, "Man, I love what you do. Call me." And we met, and we started writing songs together. This was, I don't know, 8 years ago, and we've been maybe longer than that.
Do you think you'll record it out here in L.A.? Are you going to do it in Chicago?
I had a few. I talked to
or?
John Smith, and he was like, "Why don't you cut it here?" I have a wonderful musician, a wonderful band in Chicago, and it could be a little too. I know there are always great musicians here in L.A.
Yeah.
But these are my core guys,
That's
and my horn section is there, and
That's good.
you know, unless we can all, you never know. One thing I learned in the business, I never know, but. The album is ready as far as material, but
good.
I want to write some more with David, so we have a few writing sessions planned while I'm here in LA,
Great.
and it's time to record another one.
Do you have a favorite studio in Chicago?
Now the previous one I recorded at Delmark Studio, Delmark Records, and it's kind of cool knowing that Willie Kent recorded there, before me.
Amazing. Yeah.
And it's cool to know that like Junior Wilson, Young Buddy Guy, cut for the label. It kind of does something. The studio is a little bit when I recorded. Now they're revamping it because they sold the label. It's kind of old. They have the Hammond organ from Chess Records, the actual organ and Lizzie from Chess, and then Old Steinway and the Great Rhodes. So I think I'm going. They have some great studios in Chicago, but other than cutting my own records, I didn't do a lot of studio work. So
you could bring your guys out here
and
put them up in a hotel, go to Sunset Sound or United or one of those classic old rooms. Those are the rooms I really love.
Really, I never been there.
Oh, you'd love it. They're like old school rooms. You go in and you feel the history in each room, and you could film the whole thing. Yeah, bring them out here if you can.
There's the one in Capitol, the huge one too.
Yeah. That too.
So I was like, oh.
They're all still here. Be great for you.
There'll be a dream. Hopefully, I can make it happen.
It'll be great for us to hear it. So do you have something else you can play for us?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Or we can just take a little something and play together.
Okay. What key?
Hey,
You got it.
we could just take a little blues, right?
Thank you so much. You just taught me something.
Nah, you taught me a lot of things.
That is better than. But I didn't learn that till the end. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.